This is more of what I'm, used to interviews, I would say. This is all new to me, having a show. But this should be probably, I'm hoping, the main bit which I succeed in. But
great so far. Keep going.
Thank you very much, Eugene. Wicked. So I've given an introduction, to the viewers who may have not known who you are. If you want to just start by, introducing yourself and just talk about your background and where you've come from.
Yeah, so I'm a visual artist, as in painting, drawing, making videos. So yeah, I just basically use art as we know it to communicate different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes I make beautiful things that we are all used to seeing. But I'm the type of artist that really delves into our imagination and some of the things we know. And I like to bring them out in image form, but to use that as a way of treating social issues and sometimes political issues and some of the things that affect all of us, in our lives.
Yeah.
Because I believe art is a powerful tool, and we can really use it to do a lot of great stuff around us in our societies.
Wicked. So before, we hone into the topic of knife crime, start by, describing, your artistic journey. How did it begin? What made you want to start? Let's go for that, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like every child, when I was really small, I would pick up bits of paper and pencil and color pencils and crayons and everything else you can imagine, and doodle around. But the thing with me is that I never stopped.
Yeah.
Because I really connected to it.
Okay.
And as I grew up, from the age of about say 4 or 5, people would tell me that I was really good at it.
Okay. So is this So this is something from a small age that you were certain that this is something you would want to go into?
Well, the funny thing is I didn't even choose. It feels like it's always been a part of me, just like how you and I are talking right now. It feels like we could never, it feels like we were born to speak, right?
Yes,
it's the same thing. So I've never thought about not doing it because it's always been there. So yeah, it all feels pretty natural.
Wicked. So then you've become a not saying you weren't already a role model, but you've became an even bigger figure as you became an anti-knife crime ambassador. And you started incorporating knife crime into your art. How did that begin, and how did that start?
Sure. I mean, I've worked with a lot of young people in the past, as you said. A lot of young people find what I do very inspiring because it's creative and it's different.
Yes.
And caring for young people and young people's future and where they move to and what inspires them, I decided that with what was happening around us, a couple of years ago, hearing about too many stabbings, like, for example, just yesterday, I had 2 notifications of 2 stabbings on my phone. So when I was receiving all these notifications, listening to the news, the radio, seeing everything else that was happening, I thought to myself, you know what, this is just too much. And I want to do something about it as an artist. So with that, I decided to sort of, what should I say, the idea started forming in my head as to how I would approach it. But yes, to answer your question more directly, it was just purely out of my concern with what is happening and wanting to help, wanting to come into the whole conversation, but from another angle through art.
For sure, yeah. So you had this idea, so you incorporated knife crime. How did you go about it? So, were there any struggles, when you started, you have your own piece of art over here and then you've got knife crime. How did you put them together? How was it for you?
Well, it's great. It's a good question. So before I tackled the knife crime thing, I've made many different types of art, and I've done traditional stuff. I've done portraits. I've done everything you can imagine. Yeah. So when this idea came in, it was a bit of a reinvention in that sense. Okay. But again, I looked at the subject and I said to myself, the first most important thing for me is that the project has to have young people in the center of it. Yeah. So it wasn't about adults. It wasn't about the media and what they report. It wasn't about anybody but young people. And I wanted young people's voices to be heard the most.
Okay.
To be projected the loudest. And this is why, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, it's been a collaborative project between myself and young people.
That's wicked. So, Eugene, can we say a month ago it's been when I went to visit you? Yeah, it's been a month, yeah.
Yes, it's been a month.
Let's give a little introduction with what's actually been going on. Before we go into that, Eugene's art, what his, main aim. He's launched a Reclaim exhibition. That's what it's called, Reclaim, in the South London at the Salman Youth Centre. This was, a collaborative art installation that focuses on the effects of knife crime on working class. So, all the viewers on Youth Choice listening to right now, a few weeks back or a month ago, we went to visit Capital City Academy, Willesden Green, where, Eugene actually had his own exhibition. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, this was amazing. Not just the art, but Eugene himself, I got to speak to him. His style of art was amazing. Absolutely unique, wicked, something you haven't seen before. What made it even better was the message of knife crime. This being a sensitive topic to myself, I come from Slough, and you may know Slough is one of the big areas that actually gets recently been getting hit by knife crime. So this was a very, what can you say, a hard impact. It had a big impact to me when I actually saw your art, Eugene. One thing I saw was, as I entered the academy, it wasn't me just staring at the art itself. I had what can you say? You had your own students coming up to me.
That's right.
And this was really strange because I wasn't told about this at all. So there's me, just walking into a room full of art all around the walls, and out of nowhere, what were they wearing, Eugene? I don't know.
Yes, so I had the students whom I worked with for 3 months. I had some of them wearing CSI costumes.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the white investigation, the white costumes worn by investigators when, for example, there's a crime on the street.
Okay.
So they had that. They had the hood. They had the gloves. They had the shoe covers, and some of them carried flowers, and others also carried umbrellas with the faces of victims.
Okay.
Pasted on umbrellas.
Okay, so yeah, that was me. I was just standing looking at your art, and then I was approached by, they're fairly young. They were my age or younger, I would say, 16-year-olds. Yeah. Yes. So I was approached by them, and the questions I was getting asked was literally, what can you see? Like simple questions, but they, hard impact. Yes. Then that just made me think, really, what can I see? Because at that point when I was standing, that's not what was going through my mind. What was going through my mind was, what I could see. When someone actually looks at art, well, I can't speak for everyone, but I'm sure the majority of people would just look at it. Yes. What Eugene's team did was they actually made you, delve into the subconscious mind, you can say, actually made us think about the art that was going on. So questions like, what can you see, how does it make you feel? And then it wasn't one of those things I was just getting asked. The person actually wanted an answer, which made it even more intimidating, but it was good because it made me really think, and it gave answers. And then so I sat down, and then it's just the way you presented it, really really impactful. How did you come across that? What made you start? Like, was it an inspiration, your own style? How did that come across?
Sure. So like I mentioned before, as an artist, I consider myself a creative artist. So my mind is open for ideas. So in a sense, what you might see me do now may not be the same thing I do in 2 years. Yeah. So it's important for me to communicate my heart and my journey at that point to my audience. Yeah. So one of the things that I did, as I mentioned earlier, once I had the idea that I wanted to communicate this serious topic, I started looking into the media. And I said to myself, one of the things that is constantly presented to us in the media when there's a knife crime is the police, for example. Okay. And when I say the police, you see them in CSI costumes, but you also see police tents. You see flowers, which are obviously laid at memorial scenes or stabbing scenes. You see teddy bears, you see messages, you see images. And obviously, a lot of these things tend to happen outside. Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to do was to change the context. So I took it from the outside and I put it in the inside. Okay. Because I realized that by putting it in the inside, the metaphor here is like putting the message in the person's mind, in the viewer's mind. Yeah. But also what I wanted to do was to, again, employ all of these materials that we are used to seeing when there's a crime, but with a big twist. So as you know, when you see my work, you look at it and it feels like you're at a memorial scene. Yes, yeah. But actually, on close inspection, the messages, are different. They're more hopeful. The images of the young people, as you may see at a memorial scene, were not of dead young people. So these were all young people who are living. And everything you saw at the Reclaim Memorial scene was handmade as well. So I wanted everything to be made by hand, to be artistic, to have integrity about it.
Yeah.
And for every single young person, including the photographs on the floor, to all be represented in a way where we were saying to the public that, as you're walking in, you are also guilty of judging young people.
Yeah,
or misjudging young people.
You did that very well, I must say. You got your message across, yeah.
No, thank you. So to see all of that and to see how it affected people, and how uncomfortable they were, as you mentioned yourself, was brilliant, because we managed to get into people's minds. We made them think, we made them feel, and it was wonderful to see, people walking out of the space, crying.
Just to see that your whole aim is going right, that, the project's still, gathering immense critical acclaim. The success out of there and the interest in concept, is still continuing to grow. Just, it must feel good. Got this aim and knife crime being a big problem, and you can say that you're making a positive change.
Absolutely, and thank you very much. I mean, people keep telling me that all the time, that it's a thing we've become desensitized to, or becoming.
Yeah.
And the whole idea here was, as you said, to use the art to wake people up, right?
Okay.
Because the most dangerous space in my head we can fall into is to become so desensitized to the situation where, if we were to see it in the news, to hear it on the radio, or to see it on the net, for our brains to kind of say to us, oh, here goes another one. We don't want that, right?
Yeah.
We want people to have that kind of raw initial human feeling, which is, oh God, what is this that's happening? Like, to feel sorry, to feel like they want to do something.
Yeah.
And this is what the project was about. A quote that, in a sense, hides behind the project was the saying that it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
And this is why, once again, it's been a collaborative project, because what I wanted it to be was the village, meaning the young people I collaborated with, coming together and then communicating their truth. And like I said, it wasn't about the adult world. It was about young people. Please tell us your truth through this concept of mine.
Yeah.
And for me, that is the beauty of it, that I gave young people the platform to speak like how they want to speak without anybody stopping them.
Honestly, really good, Eugene. I would say it's because I've seen you as well in person, and just to know, how you do mean it when you want to improve this knife crime problem, and being a role model. Right now, we've spoken about your art. Let's talk a bit about your views on knife crime. Why do you think people are, especially the youth, why are they moving to knives? What's the problem for you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to your conversation with some of your viewers earlier before we started talking. And I think that there's a general gist out there that is really true and correct. I remember, like, about 2-3 years ago, when, for example, the government cut out a lot of funding from youth centers, from schools, from youth organizations. And I don't know if anybody can remember, but there was a lot of youth centers, for example, shutting down.
Okay.
And I remember talking to people around that time, and we said, do you know what, this is going to have some real bad effects. Now, let's not forget that going back several years before that, we had the London riots, right?
Yep.
And the London riots had also happened out of frustration that young people generally hold, but obviously also for Mark Duggan, who was, so-called killed by the police. Yeah. Right? So if we can imagine the scenario of all of this pent-up anger, right? Yeah. And then young people find themselves in a place where they feel abandoned, as if the government does not care. Yeah. And it's showing by the amount of funding that could have gone into their lives to make their lives better, because let's not forget, we're talking about youth centers where young people meet people, adults who are responsible, who are able to guide them, who mentor them, right? Yeah. And all of these things were pulled off. Okay. So if you are in a situation where this is all being denied from you, I mean, it can only end up as a kind of hellish situation that is unwanted, right? And I believe that this plays a major part in what happened, or what is happening. But also, you also have home lives. Yeah. You have, a lot of young people coming from single parent homes. Yeah. Where, for example, mom or dad is working 2-3 jobs
Yeah.
to look after the family, and therefore they do not have that extra, time to spend with the young people, and meaning that a lot of young people are also going out unapproved by parents, getting involved in all kinds of different things, and this is where gangs come in.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, a lot of the people who lead these gangs are very, very smart people, right? Who could be putting their brains to better use. And when they see the situation of a young person, they're very, very quick to catch on psychologically. And once they get them that way, it's very, very hard to come out, because it's all about money and about respect and about giving them the illusion that they're becoming important.
Wicked. Sorry to interrupt you, Eugene. We've only got a couple more minutes, and I've got a few more questions to ask you.
Yes.
The next knife crime, as in, do you think it could get solved, or what can we do? What do you think is the main thing as a community, or as in a world? What can we do to get together to decrease this crime?
Absolutely. So, just as how it came to my mind, I sat down and all I said was, I want to do something about this, right?
Yeah.
And with me throwing that idea into my mind, my expertise or skills as an artist was the thing that I could speak through.
Yeah.
I think the first thing is for people to care, to genuinely care.
Yeah.
If they do that, I think, it's a matter of joining in with projects like mine. Basically, go out there, be out there, contribute your voice, because everybody's voice matters.
Yeah.
And I think that is one way. We need to get away from the uncomfortableness of the situation. Just get involved, get talking, and ideas will come out. That's what I strongly believe.
Wicked. And Eugene, your projects, how are they running so far, and how can people reach out and find out a bit more about yourself? You can mention your socials.
Problem. Yes. So I'm on Instagram as Eugene Ankomah.
Yeah.
You can find me on Facebook. If you want to see about the knife crime project I've been carrying, or other projects I've been doing and what's happening next, just put my name into Google, and lots and lots of stuff will come up.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want immediate contact, just hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, and yeah, we can chat, and I can give you more information.
Wicked. Eugene, I really do hope that you do carry on this, what you could say, a mission.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
you are making it go the right way, and slowly but surely I am hoping that these positive changes can be shown in the world right now. We're getting a lot of interaction, and I'm really happy. It shows that people are hopefully enjoying this show right now. I've actually got a question that's just been sent on my phone right now. I'm going to read it from my phone.
Sure.
It's come from Darren Morris, a good friend of mine. His question is, being a role model, was it ever intimidating because you're a role model of knife crime?
You know what? I truly believe, obviously I didn't set out to be a role model. All I believe is that if you speak from your heart, right? If you speak from your truth, it will attract people, because we're human beings and our hearts and souls likes the truth, right?
Yeah.
So my work affects people, and it attracts young people to me, and young people to get involved in the project, because it's truthful. And this is why, like I said earlier, I wanted to not get the adults involved. It had to be about young people. And I think that is the truth that is kind of shining out, if you like.
That's so good. No, wicked. I could be talking to you for how long we've been on it. It's been over 20 minutes, and I'm sure we could be going for so much longer. But we've got a show, and I hope we can get you on again very soon. There's a lot to talk about, and if there's any more news on this, we will definitely get you on the show. But it's been wicked to see what you're about, and I'm hopeful, and I'm sure the viewers will be staying connected with you and seeing the work you get on with. I'll also be sharing it around on my social media as well.
Thank you so
for
much.
everyone.
Thank you.
So that was Eugene Ankomah. Before I do leave you, let's leave it on a bit of a more fun, lighter note, we can say. I've asked 2 questions. I just want you Eugene, to answer them, and I'll be giving the answers, but let me ask you the questions right now, okay?
Yes.
Possession of carrying a knife can get you prison sentence up to how many years? So even if it's not in use, how many years can it get you a prison sentence for? It's A, 2 years, B, 4 years, or C, 6 years. What's your views on that?
Gosh, I was part of a meeting not too long ago.
Okay.
And a lot of people strongly believe that actually sending young people to prison or to jail isn't necessarily the answer,
Yes,
because
Eugene.
they
That's actually
yeah
another topic I did put on the
yes
side, but just because of time requirements, that's something I haven't
that's
mentioned. But it's
yes
the harsh prison sentences. Is that the
yes
right answer for young people? Who carry knives? Because what happens
I
is,
don't think
yeah,
so.
yeah. So no, that's another topic, and literally 1 minute left. So, what would be your answer for that question?
I think education is the answer.
Okay.
And when I say education, so if you grew up in the wrong environment, you've been seeing the wrong things,
Yeah.
you have the wrong mentors,
Yeah.
and you've got into the wrong things. It's all about you being educated that it's all the wrong path,
Yes. Yeah.
and then you being shown the other side of life, and that influencing you in the same way that you were influenced by
Yeah.
the negative. You have to be influenced by the positive, and all of that is about education.
And about the possession of carrying a knife, and getting you in
Yes.
prison sentence, how many years would you think, even if it's not being used? So 2 years, 4 years, or 6 years?
Gosh, I think it should be 4 years, and
Okay.
that 4 years should all be about education.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I'll be giving the answer in the next link before I wrap up the show. And the last question before we leave you, Eugene. There's no
Yes.
reason to carry a knife. However, what is the most popular excuse? To get more respect, feel more powerful, for protection, or because they are cheap and easy to get hold of?
Oh gosh. I think it's all of them, but I'll probably
Yeah.
say cheap and easy to get hold of.
Okay, that's an interesting one.
Uh,
First one we've got for D.
yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Eugene. I really don't want to
No
leave the
problem.
call right now, but it's been a really good call, and it's been great having you on here, really.
Thank you so much. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you,
Thank you.
Eugene.